My wolf howled as the officiant asked if anyone objected to Alpha Cade's marriage, but the sound that came from my throat wasn't a howl. It was a sob. I pressed my fist against my mouth, trying to swallow it back. Around me, 300 wolves sat in neat rows of white chairs, their attention fixed on the altar where my mate, was about to marry someone else. Cade stood tall in his black tuxedo, every inch the powerful alpha. Vivian Ashford, his bride, looked like something out of a fairy tale in her ivory gown. Perfect, elegant, everything an alpha's mate should be, everything I wasn't. If anyone here objects to this union, the officiant continued, speak now or forever hold your peace. The silence stretched. My fingernails bit into my palms. 3 years. For 3 years, I'd kept our secret. 3 years of stolen moments in the woods, of Cade's promises that he just needed time, that he'd find a way to make this right. 3 years of watching him smile for cameras with her on his arm while I stood guard in the background, another faceless warrior in his pack. Then, by the power vested in me by the Council of Elders, the officiant said, I now pronounce you. The bond inside me twisted, sharp and sudden. I gasped. It felt like something was tearing right down the middle of my chest. This was real. He was really doing this. Husband and wife. The guests erupted in applause. Through the blur of my tears, I watched Cade lift Vivian's veil, watched him lean down, watched him kiss her. The bond shredded. Not broken. That would have been cleaner. This was worse. It stayed intact, but turned rotten, poisonous, flooding my system with pain that made my knees buckle. I had to get out of here. I stumbled toward the back of the hall, but my legs wouldn't cooperate. The room spun. Someone grabbed my elbow, steadying me. Easy there. I looked up into eyes the same gold as Cade's, but sharper. Demon Blackthorn, Cade's younger brother, studied me with an expression I couldn't read. I'm fine, I managed. You're really not. His grip tightened slightly. You're about to shift in the middle of my brother's wedding. That would be awkward for everyone. He was right. My wolf was clawing at my skin, desperate to get out, to run, to howl until the pain stopped. Let me go, I whispered. Stay. The word was soft, but absolute. You should stay. I yanked my arm free and pushed through the crowd. No one noticed me. Why would they? I was nobody. Just another warrior. The cool night air hit my face as I burst through the doors into the garden. I made it 3 steps down the stone path before my knees gave out entirely. I knelt there on the ground, shaking, trying to breathe through the agony. The mate bond was supposed to be sacred, beautiful. Instead, it was killing me from the inside out. Sarah. I knew that voice. God, I knew that voice. I forced myself to stand, to turn around. Cade stood 10 feet away, still in his wedding tuxedo. His hair was slightly messed up now, like he'd run his hands through it. His eyes blazed that alpha gold that made my wolf whimper in recognition. You need to leave, I said. My voice came out steadier than I felt. Go back to your wife. He flinched at the word. Don't. Don't what? Tell the truth? I laughed, and it hurt. Everything hurt. You married her, Cade. You made your choice. I didn't have a choice. He stepped closer. The council demanded this alliance. You know that. You've always known that. And I've always been stupid enough to believe you when you said we'd find a way around it. I backed up, needing space. But there is no way around it. There never was. That's not true. Another step. Sarah, I swear to you, don't. I held up my hand. Don't make more promises you can't keep. I'm done, Cade. I'm done waiting. I'm done being your secret. I'm done dying inside while you play happy couple with her. His jaw clenched. You think this is easy for me? You think I want this? I think you want your power more. The words came out bitter. The council, the alliance, your precious pack. You want all of it more than you want me. That's not... He moved fast. Alpha fast, closing the distance between us. His hand wrapped around my wrist, gentle but unbreakable. You're mine. My breath caught. You've always been mine. His voice rose, rougher now, carrying across the garden. From the moment we met, from the moment the bond snapped into place. Mine. Cade. I tried to pull away, but he wouldn't let me. Someone's going to hear, I don't care. He pulled me closer, and I could feel the heat radiating off him, could smell his scent, pine and earth and home. I don't care who hears. I don't care what it costs me. You're my mate, and I'm not losing you. You already lost me. I met his eyes. The second you put that ring on her finger. Pain flashed across his face, raw and real. For a moment, he looked like the Cade I'd fallen in love with 3 years ago. The one who'd found me injured after a rogue attack and carried me 5 miles to the pack healer. The one who'd sat by my bedside for 3 days until I woke up. The one who'd looked at me and said, There you are. I've been waiting for you. Sarah, he breathed. Please. Then I heard it. The click of heels on stone. Voices. Laughter. The wedding guests were spilling out onto the terrace, drinks in hand, drawn by the commotion. Cade? A woman's voice, musical and clear. Vivian. Darling, what's going on? I tried to pull away again. This time he held on tighter. Cade, let me go. I kept my voice low. Don't do this. Not like this. But he wasn't looking at me anymore. He was looking at the crowd gathering on the terrace. At his new wife, beautiful in her wedding gown, her face confused and concerned. At the council elders, their expressions darkening. At his pack, watching their alpha with one of his warriors. His hand slid from my wrist to my hand. His fingers laced through mine. Everyone needs to know, he said quietly. Then louder, projecting his alpha voice so it carried to every wolf present. This is Sarah Winters. She's my fated mate. The garden went silent. I stopped breathing. Cade, Vivian whispered. Her face had gone white. What are you saying? I'm saying I made a mistake. He looked at his bride, his wife, and I saw something break in his expression. Regret, shame, but also resolve. I'm saying the council can damn well find another way to secure their alliance because I won't deny my mate anymore. One of the elders stepped forward, his face purple with rage. You dare! After we witnessed your vows. My vows were a lie. Cade's voice didn't waver. Everything was a lie, and I'm done lying. Vivian's scream tore through the night. Not anger, pure, devastated heartbreak. She looked at me with eyes full of tears and betrayal, and I wanted to die. This wasn't how it was supposed to happen. This wasn't... You knew? Her voice shook. All this time? While I planned our wedding? While I fell in love with you? You had a mate? I tried to speak, but nothing came out. She didn't ask for this, Cade said. I'm the one who... Shut up. Vivian's tears spilled over. Just shut up. She turned and ran back into the hall, her dress trailing behind her like broken wings. The crowd erupted, voices shouting, the council elders stepping forward. Cade's father, the former Alpha, pushing through the crowd with murder in his eyes. And through it all, Cade held my hand. "I'm sorry," he said, just to me. "I'm sorry I waited so long. I'm sorry I hurt you. But I'm not sorry for this. I'll never be sorry for claiming you." I looked at him, my mate, my Alpha, the man I'd loved in secret for 3 years, and felt the bond inside me writhe. Still damaged, still toxic. But maybe, just maybe, not beyond repair. Behind him I caught a glimpse of Demon, still standing in the shadows, still watching. His expression was unreadable, but something about the way he looked at me made my skin prickle. Then Cade's father reached us. "You've destroyed everything," he snarled at his son. "Everything we built, everything we fought for." "For her?" Cade's hand tightened on mine. "Yes. Then you're no son of mine." The former Alpha's eyes flashed. "And she's no member of this pack. Both of you, get out." The world tilted. Wanting to see what would happen next, subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 2. The council chamber was built of stone that had stood for 3 centuries. Tonight, it felt like a tomb. I stood in the center of the room with Cade at my side, surrounded by 12 elders seated in a semicircle. Their faces were carved from disapproval and rage. Behind us, pack members crowded into every available space, their whispers echoing off the walls like accusations. Elder Mordecai, the head of the council, slammed his staff against the floor. The sound cracked through the room like a gunshot. Silence. His voice could have frozen fire. "Alpha Cade Blackthorn, you stand accused of deceiving this council, of violating sacred law, and of destroying an alliance that took 5 years to broker. Explain yourself. Now." Cade's hand still held mine. I tried to pull away. We were in enough trouble, but his grip was iron. 3 years ago," he said, his voice steady, "I met Sarah Winters during a rogue attack on our western border. She was dying. I carried her to the pack healer, and while I held her, the mate bond snapped into place. Instant. Absolute. The way the old stories describe it." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. True mate bonds, the ones that hit like lightning, that left no room for doubt, were rare. Most wolves chose their partners, built their bonds slowly. What Cade described was the stuff of legend. "If this is true," Elder Cordelia said, her eyes sharp, "why did you not report it to the council immediately?" Cade's jaw tightened. "Because I knew what you'd say. That the Ashford alliance was too important. That I could take Sarah as a mistress after the wedding. That duty came before destiny." "And you would have been correct," Mordecai said coldly. "An Alpha's first responsibility is to his pack. Personal desires are secondary." "She's not a desire." Cade's voice turned to gravel. "She's my mate. The moon goddess herself chose her for me. I don't have the right to reject that." "You had the right and the responsibility." Elder Thomas stood, his face red. "Do you understand what you've done? The Ashford Pack controls the Eastern Territories. Their alliance gives us access to trade routes, to resources, to protection from the Silverclaw Pack that's been threatening our borders for a decade. You've thrown all of that away for my mate," Cade interrupted. "Say it. For my fated mate." The doors burst open. Alpha Ashford strode in with 10 of his warriors, and the temperature in the room plummeted. He was a massive man, scarred and brutal, his eyes blazing with barely controlled fury. "Where is she?" His voice shook the walls. "Where's my daughter?" "In her chambers," Elder Mordecai said. "Under sedation. The healer says she's in shock." Shock. Ashford's laugh was ugly. "My Vivian has been humiliated in front of 300 witnesses. Her marriage has been destroyed before the ink dried on the certificate. Shock is the least of what she's suffering." He turned to Cade, and I felt the alpha power rolling off him in waves. Cade's hand tightened on mine, his own power rising to meet the challenge. "You made vows to my daughter," Ashford snarled. "Sacred vows witnessed by the moon, and now you want to throw her away like trash?" "I never wanted to hurt Vivian," Cade said, "but I won't live a lie. I won't force her to be mated to someone whose heart belongs elsewhere." "How noble." Ashford's lip curled. "Tell me, Alpha Blackthorn, does your nobility extend to taking responsibility for your actions? Because my daughter is carrying your child." The room exploded. I felt the blood drain from my face. No, that wasn't possible. Cade had sworn. He'd promised me. "That's a lie," Cade said, but his voice wavered. "Is it?" Ashford smiled like a predator. "Your wedding was 3 weeks ago. But the ceremony wasn't the first time you were together, was it? The engagement lasted 6 months. 6 months of dinners and appearances and expected intimacy. Or are you going to stand there and tell all these witnesses that you never touched your fiancée?" Cade said nothing. The silence crushed me. "I thought so." Ashford turned to the council. "My daughter is pregnant with the Alpha's heir. Pack law is absolute on this matter. The marriage stands." "No." The word tore out of me before I could stop it. Every eye in the room turned to me. "No, that's not possible. He wouldn't—" "Wouldn't what?" Ashford's gaze raked over me. "Wouldn't fulfill his obligations to his betrothed? Wouldn't act like an alpha instead of a lovesick boy? Or did you truly believe you were the only woman in his life? Warrior?" The way he said warrior, like it was an insult, like I was nothing, made my wolf snarl. But the doubt was there now, planted like poison. Had Cade lied about that too? "Sarah." Cade turned to me, his eyes desperate. We never completed the bond. I swear to you. There was no marking, no mating ceremony. Whatever happened before, it wasn't what? Real?" I laughed, and it sounded broken. "Like we weren't real? Like 3 years of hiding wasn't real? That's not fair. None of this is fair." My voice cracked. "You married her, Cade. You put a ring on her finger. You kissed her in front of the entire pack. And now she's pregnant. And you want me to just accept that you never—" "The marriage isn't valid," Cade said desperately. "I refused to complete the mating ritual. I wouldn't mark her. I wouldn't, but you slept with her." The words tasted like ash. "Didn't you?" His silence was answer enough. I pulled my hand from his. This time he let me go. Elder Mordecai's staff cracked against the floor again. "Enough. This display is beneath us all." He looked at Cade with something close to pity. "Alpha Blackthorn, you find yourself in an impossible situation. Pack law states that an alpha cannot reject his Luna once vows are spoken and consummated. The marriage stands." "The bond was never sealed," Cade argued. "A true mating requires the mark. I never marked Vivian. I never claimed her as my mate before the moon. The marriage might be legal, but it's not a true mating." The elders exchanged glances. Elder Cordelia leaned forward. "There is precedent." she said slowly. In the old laws, when two women claim the right to be an alpha's mate, there is a way to determine who the moon goddess truly favors. My stomach dropped. I knew where this was going. The trial of two Lunas, Elder Thomas said. It hasn't been invoked in over a century, but the law remains. No, Cade said immediately. Absolutely not. What is it? I asked. My voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. Mordecai's expression was grave. An ancient test, warrior. One that proves which bond is stronger, which woman is truly meant to stand beside the alpha. It requires both potential Lunas to undergo 3 challenges that test the mind, body, and spirit. The one who survives becomes the acknowledged mate. The marriage to the other is dissolved. And if both survive? I asked. They never do, Elder Cordelia said quietly. The trial is designed to break the weaker bond, one way or another. The room was silent. I could feel everyone watching me, waiting. Sarah, don't, Cade said. Don't even think about it. The trial is brutal. Wolves have died. If I succeed, the marriage to Vivian is dissolved. Yes, but... And if I fail? Mordecai's face was stone. If you fail, you must leave the pack forever. The mate bond will be severed, forcibly, magically, permanently. Your wolf will be damaged beyond repair. Most don't survive the severing with their sanity intact. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. You can't ask her to risk that, Cade said. I won't allow it. You don't get to allow or forbid me anything, I said. My voice came out cold, calm. Not anymore. Sarah, for 3 years I've been your secret, your hidden shame. The mate you couldn't acknowledge because duty mattered more. I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt something crack open inside me. I watched you with her, smiled for you, pretended it didn't kill me, all because you said you'd find a way, that you'd make it right. I will make it right, but not like this. There has to be another way. There isn't. I turned to the council. I accept the trial. The room erupted again. Cade grabbed my arm. No, Sarah, please. You don't understand what you're agreeing to. The challenges, they're designed to exploit your deepest fears, your worst memories. They'll break you. Then they break me. I pulled away from him. But I won't be your secret anymore. I won't hide in the shadows while she carries your child and wears your ring. Either I'm your mate, really, truly your mate, or I'm nothing. And if I'm nothing, then I'd rather have the bond severed cleanly than keep living like this. You're not nothing, he said desperately. You're everything. Sarah, I don't believe you. The truth of it shattered something between us. You've had 3 years to choose me. You didn't. Maybe you couldn't. Maybe the pack really does matter more. But either way, I'm done waiting for you to decide I'm worth fighting for. I saw the hit land, saw the pain flash across his face. I'll do it, I said to the council. When does the trial begin? 3 days, Mordecai said. That gives us time to prepare the grounds and notify both packs of the proceedings. Wait. Ashford stepped forward. My daughter is pregnant. Surely she can't be expected to undergo such a trial in her condition. The law makes no exceptions, Elder Cordelia said. If Vivian wishes to keep her position as Luna, she must face the challenger. This is barbaric. This is tradition. Mordecai's voice was final. The trial will proceed in 3 days. Both women will compete. One will emerge as the true Luna. The other... He looked at me. The other will lose everything. The council began to file out. Cade tried to catch my arm again, but I moved away. "Don't," I said. "Just don't." I walked out of the chamber with my head high and my heart in pieces. The crowd parted for me, their faces a mix of pity and fascination. I was the scandal now, the warrior who dared challenge a Luna, the mate who'd been hidden away like a guilty secret. I made it halfway across the courtyard before I heard footsteps behind me. That was quite a performance. I spun around. Demon leaned against a pillar, shadows pooling around him like he'd been born from darkness itself. "What do you want?" I was too tired for games. "To warn you." He pushed off the pillar and walked closer. "The trial isn't what you think it is. The challenges, they're not just tests of strength. They're designed to tear apart your connection to the pack, to your wolf, to everything that makes you who you are." "Why do you care?" Something flickered in his eyes. "Let's just say I have a vested interest in seeing my brother's perfect life fall apart. I'm not a weapon for your family drama." "No." He smiled, and it was sharp. "You're much more interesting than that." He started to walk away, then paused. 3 days, Sarah. That's not much time to prepare for hell. If you want to survive, you'll need help. From you, I'm the only one offering." He disappeared into the shadows, leaving me alone in the courtyard. Above me, the moon hung heavy and full. I looked up at it and wondered if the goddess was watching, if she cared that her chosen bonds were being tested by politics and lies, if she cared that I was about to risk everything for a man who'd already broken my heart. 3 days. I had 3 days to become strong enough to face a trial that killed wolves. 3 days to prove I was worthy of being an alpha's mate. 3 days to decide if Cade Blackthorn was worth dying for. Wanting to see what would happen next? Subscribe to this channel to get to listen to more of our upcoming, exciting stories. Click on the subscribe button now. Thank you. Chapter 3. The trial grounds were older than the pack itself, a circular arena carved from black stone, surrounded by ancient trees that had witnessed centuries of bloodshed. 300 wolves lined the perimeter, their eyes gleaming in the pre-dawn darkness. I stood at one end of the circle, trying not to shake. Across from me, Vivian wore white, a ceremonial robe that made her look like a virgin sacrifice. Her face was pale but determined, her hand resting protectively over her stomach. The stomach that supposedly carried Cade's child. My wolf snarled at the thought. 3 days hadn't been enough time to come to terms with that particular betrayal. 3 days of brutal training, of pushing my body past its limits, of trying not to think about Cade's hands on someone else. Elder Mordecai stood at the center of the arena, his staff planted in the ground. "The trial of 2 Lunas consists of 3 challenges," he announced, his voice carrying to every corner of the grounds. "The first tests the body, a warrior's strength. The second tests the heart, a Luna's bond with her pack. The third tests the soul, the truth of the mate bond itself." He turned to look at both of us. "Only one of you will leave this arena as Luna. The other will lose everything. There will be no interference from the Alpha or any pack member. Do you both accept these terms?" "I do," Vivian said, her voice steady. "I do," I echoed. "Then let the first challenge begin." The ground beneath my feet rumbled. Stone pillars rose from the arena floor, creating a maze of obstacles. Weapons materialized on racks at either end. Swords, staffs, daggers. This wasn't just combat. This was war. Each Luna will face 3 opponents of her choosing, Mordecai continued. The first to defeat all 3 wins the challenge. Vivian smiled. I choose Marcus Steele, Thomas Vaughn, and... Her eyes found mine across the arena. Demon Blackthorn. The crowd murmured. Those were 3 of the pack's most brutal fighters. Marcus had won the pack tournament 5 years running. Thomas was a sadist who left his sparring partners bloody. And Demon. I looked to where Cade stood with the council. His face was stone, but his eyes blazed with fury. He'd wanted to fight for me, I knew. Wanted to tear apart anyone who touched me. But the trial rules were absolute. He had to watch. Had to stand there while I faced this alone. Just like I'd watched him marry Vivian. And you? Sarah Winters? Mordecai asked. Who do you choose? I could pick weaker opponents. Should pick weaker opponents. But something reckless and angry burned in my chest. I'll face whoever she sends, I said, all at once. The crowd erupted. Even the elders looked shocked. That's suicide, Elder Cordelia called. The rules allow for rest between opponents. I don't need rest, I interrupted. Let them come. Vivian's smile widened. How noble, and how stupid. She was right. It was stupid. But I was done playing it safe. Done being the obedient warrior who hid in shadows. If I was going to lose, I'd lose on my own terms. I walked to the weapons rack and selected 2 short swords. The familiar weight settled in my hands, and my wolf stirred, eager for blood. Marcus, Thomas, and Damon entered the arena. They moved to surround me, predators circling prey. Nothing personal, Sarah, Marcus said, but I've got a lot of money riding on the Luna. Of course you do. They attacked. I'd trained with these wolves for years, knew their patterns, their weaknesses. I blocked Marcus's first strike and spun to parry Thomas's blade. My sword sang as they met steel, the sound ringing across the arena. But something was wrong. My arms felt heavy. My reflexes were half a second too slow. When I tried to shift my weight, my legs wobbled. Thomas's blade caught my shoulder. Pain exploded through my arm, and blood bloomed across my training leathers. The crowd roared. I stumbled back, trying to create distance, but Damon was there. His punch caught me in the ribs, driving the air from my lungs. I went down hard, tasting blood. Get up, he whispered. So quiet only I could hear. They poisoned your water. Wolfsbane. Fight through it. Poisoned. Rage flooded through me, burning away some of the fog. I rolled to avoid Marcus's descending blade and came up swinging. My sword caught him across the thigh. He roared and fell back. 2 left, but my vision was blurring. The wolfsbane was working deeper into my system, weakening my wolf, turning my muscles to water. I blocked Thomas's next strike, but barely. The impact sent me to one knee. Stay down, Thomas snarled. Make this easy on yourself. I looked up at him and smiled through bloody teeth. Easy isn't my style. I surged up, both blades whirling. Thomas blocked one, but not the other. My sword opened a line across his ribs, deep enough to send him stumbling back, out of the fight. 1 left. Demon stood 10 feet away, his expression unreadable. We circled each other slowly. You're about to collapse, he said conversationally. The wolfsbane's in your bloodstream now. Another minute, maybe 2, and you won't be able to stand. Then you'd better hurry up and finish it. I could. He tilted his head. Or you could forfeit. Live to fight another day. Why do you care? Something flickered across his face. Because you're more useful to me alive. He attacked, but not like the others. His strikes were controlled, almost gentle. He was buying me time, I realized, letting me look like I was fighting while the wolfsbane worked its way through my system. I didn't know why, didn't care. I just needed to survive. I blocked his strikes, conserving energy, waiting for an opening. My wolf whimpered inside me, poisoned and weak, but still fighting. Still refusing to give up. In the crowd, I saw Cade. His hands were clenched at his sides, his whole body rigid with the effort of not interfering. Our eyes met across the arena, and I saw his anguish, his helplessness. Good. Let him feel it. Let him understand what these 3 years had been like for me. Demon's next strike came faster, harder. I barely parried it. My legs gave out, and I fell to my knees. "Yield," he said. "No. Sarah." I lunged forward under his guard and pressed my blade to his throat. "I don't yield to anyone. Not anymore." For a long moment, we stayed frozen. Then Demon smiled and raised his hands in surrender. "The warrior wins," he said loudly. "The first challenge goes to Sarah Winters." The crowd erupted in disbelief and cheers. I dropped my swords and collapsed, the wolfsbane finally pulling me under. The last thing I saw before darkness claimed me was Cade breaking through the crowd, his face wild with fear and fury. I woke in the healer's tent, my body screaming. Every muscle felt like it had been shredded and sewn back together wrong. "Easy." A hand pressed me back down, not Cade. The pack healer, Miranda, her face drawn with concern. "You need to rest. The wolfsbane nearly killed you." "How long?" My voice came out as a rasp. 3 hours. The second challenge starts in 1 hour. I tried to sit up. My body protested violently. "You can't be serious," Miranda said. "You can barely move. You need to forfeit." "No." I pushed through the pain and swung my legs off the cot. "I don't forfeit." "Then you're a fool." She handed me a vial of something that smelled like rotted flowers. "Drink this. It'll help counteract the poison, but it won't make you whole. You're still going into the second challenge weakened." I drank it. It tasted like death and burned going down. "Who poisoned my water?" I asked. Miranda's face went carefully blank. "I don't know, but whoever it was has access to the trial grounds. They knew exactly where you'd be and when. A traitor. Someone in the pack wanted me dead, or at least defeated." I thought of Vivian's confident smile, of the way she'd chosen the 3 most brutal fighters. She'd known I'd be weak, known I wouldn't stand a chance against them. But I'd survived anyway. The tent flap opened. Cade stood there, and the sight of him made my heart lurch traitorously. "Out," I said to Miranda. She looked between us, then nodded and left. Cade crossed to me in 3 strides. His hands came up like he wanted to touch me, then fell. "Someone poisoned you." "I know. I'm going to find out who and tear them apart." After the trial, I stood, testing my legs. They held, barely. Right now, I need to focus on the second challenge. "You can barely stand. Sarah, please, forfeit. We'll find another way." There is no other way. I faced him. Either I win this trial and prove I'm worthy of being your mate, or I lose everything. Those are the only options. "You're already worthy." His voice broke. "You've always been worthy. This trial is barbaric and cruel, and I should never have let it happen. You didn't let anything happen. I chose this, because I gave you no other choice." He moved closer, and I could smell him. Pine and earth and everything I'd ever wanted. "Sarah, I need to tell you something. About why I hid our bond. I don't want to hear it. You need to." He grabbed my arms gently, forcing me to look at him. 3 years ago, when the bond formed, I went to the council immediately. I told them I'd found my mate and wanted to claim you. I went still. You did? They refused. Sarah, His jaw clenched. They said you weren't suitable, that you came from a disgraced bloodline, that your mother was an Omega who bore a bastard, that you had no status, no power, nothing to offer the pack. The words hit like physical blows. I'd always known my heritage was shameful. My mother had been an Omega, the lowest rank, who'd gotten pregnant by a wolf who'd abandoned her. She'd died giving birth to me, and I'd grown up as the pack's charity case. They gave me a choice, Cade continued. Reject you and marry Vivian to secure the alliance, or claim you and lose my alpha title. They said they'd exile you if I refused their terms, send you away with nothing. So you chose your title. I chose to protect you. His eyes blazed. Don't you understand? If I'd claimed you then, they would have destroyed you. They would have made sure you had nothing, not even a pack to belong to. So I agreed to the marriage, thinking I could change things from the inside. If I secured my position, built my power base, eventually I'd be strong enough to defy them. Strong enough to change the laws that said an alpha's mate had to come from a ranked bloodline. I stared at him. Part of me understood. The logical, rational part that knew pack politics were vicious and unforgiving. That knew an alpha had to play the long game. But the rest of me, the part that had spent 3 years as his secret, watching him with another woman, dying inside, that part was screaming. You decided what was best for me, I said slowly, without asking, without giving me a choice. You would have fought them. You would have tried to stay, and they would have broken you. Maybe. Or maybe I would have left with my dignity intact instead of spending 3 years as your hidden shame. I pulled away from him. You chose your title over me, Cade. You chose your power and your position and your precious counsel. And you want me to what? Thank you for it. I want you to understand that I was trying to protect you. By treating me as less than? By hiding me like something dirty? Tears burned my eyes, but I refused to let them fall. You say I'm your mate, that the moon goddess chose me for you, but you didn't choose me, Cade. Not when it mattered. I'm choosing you now. Now. After you married someone else. After you put me through hell. After I had to watch you kiss her and claim her and... My voice broke. After I had to find out she's carrying your child. Pain flashed across his face. Sarah, don't. I held up my hand. I need to prepare for the second challenge. You need to go. I'm not leaving you. Not again. You don't have a choice. The trial rules. Damn the trial rules. He moved closer, and the air between us crackled with heat. I should have fought for you 3 years ago. Should have told the council to go to hell. Should have claimed you in front of the entire pack and dared anyone to stop me. But you didn't. No. He cupped my face with both hands. I didn't. And I'll regret that for the rest of my life. But I'm fighting for you now, Sarah. I'm fighting with everything I have. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted it so badly it hurt, but trust wasn't something that could be rebuilt with pretty words. Then let me fight for myself, I said. Let me prove I'm strong enough to stand beside you. And after the trial, if I survive, we'll figure out the rest. He leaned down, his forehead resting against mine. For a moment, we just breathed together, two broken halves trying to remember how to fit. Then his lips found mine. The kiss was desperate and tender and full of 3 years of longing. I tasted his tears mixed with mine, felt his hands shake as they framed my face. My wolf surged, recognizing her mate, crying out for the bond that should have been sealed years ago. When we pulled apart, we were both shaking. "Win this," Cade whispered. "Survive this. Then I'll spend the rest of my life proving you were always the only choice." "I choose myself first," I said. "From now on, I choose myself." His smile was sad and proud at once. "Good. It's about time." He left, and I was alone again. I had 1 hour to prepare for the second challenge. 1 hour to steel myself for whatever came next. But as I changed into fresh clothes and braided my hair back, I felt something shift inside me. Not the mate bond. That was still damaged, still toxic. But something deeper. Something that belonged to me alone. Strength. Not the kind that came from a man or a title or a pack. The kind that came from surviving, from refusing to break. I walked back to the arena with my head high. The crowd parted for me, whispers following in my wake. I saw respect in some faces now, where before there'd been only pity. Vivian stood at the center of the arena, still in her white robes. She looked at me with cold calculation. Elder Mordecai stepped forward. The second challenge tests the heart of Aluna, her bond with her pack. Both women will move among pack members. They will listen to their troubles and provide solutions. The Luna who shows the deepest understanding and care for her pack wins. This I could do. This was what I'd spent 3 years doing, serving the pack quietly, learning every member's name, their struggles, their hopes. Vivian might have status, but I had something better. I had their trust. The challenge began. Pack members approached us one by one, presenting their problems. A widow who couldn't afford to keep her home. A warrior struggling with PTSD from the rogue wars. A young wolf questioning his place in the pack hierarchy. I listened, really listened, and I found solutions. Not grand gestures, but practical help. I knew the widow had skills as a seamstress. I suggested she work with the pack's tailor. I knew the warrior needed someone who understood trauma. I connected him with an elder who'd survived similar battles. I knew the young wolf was brilliant with numbers. I recommended him for training with the pack's accountant. Small things, personal things, things that showed I knew these wolves not as subjects, but as people. Vivian, by contrast, offered money, positions, status, all the things a Luna with power could provide. But her solutions were generic, impersonal. She didn't know these wolves, didn't care to know them, it showed. As the afternoon wore on, I felt the pack's energy shift. They were responding to me, warming to me in a way they never had with Vivian. Even the elders noticed. I could see it in their faces, grudging respect mixing with their disapproval. Then came the moment that changed everything. A young woman approached. Melissa, one of Vivian's handmaids. She was crying, her face blotchy and scared. "I have something to confess," she said, her voice shaking. "Something Lady Vivian made me promise to keep secret." The arena went silent. "Go on," Elder Mordecai said. Melissa looked at Vivian, then at me. "The pregnancy. It's not real. Lady Vivian has been using a fertility amulet to fake the symptoms. She plans to claim a miscarriage after the trial is over and her position is secured." The world seemed to stop. I looked at Vivian. She'd gone white, her eyes wild with panic. "That's a lie," she said quickly. "She's lying to help Sarah win. I have the amulet." Melissa pulled a small silver charm from her pocket. She gave it to me to hide. I can't keep lying. It's not right. Alpha Ashford surged forward, his face purple with rage. Melissa, It's the truth. Melissa's tears fell faster. I'm sorry, Alpha Ashford, but your daughter isn't pregnant. She never was. The crowd erupted. Accusations, denials, chaos. I stood frozen, trying to process it. Vivian had lied. She'd fabricated the pregnancy to trap Cade, to secure her position as Luna. Everything. The council's insistence that the marriage stand. The sympathy she'd garnered. All of it built on a lie. I should have felt vindicated, triumphant, but all I felt was tired. This challenge is concluded, Elder Mordecai announced, his voice cutting through the noise. Sarah Winters has demonstrated superior understanding of her pack and superior integrity. She wins the second challenge. 2-0. I was winning. But something felt wrong. Too easy. Like I was being guided toward a specific ending. I looked across the arena and found Demon watching me from the shadows. When our eyes met, he smiled. Everything is going according to plan, he'd said. What plan? The third challenge will commence at sunset, Mordecai continued. Both Lunas should prepare themselves. It will test the mate bond itself, and one way or another, it will reveal the truth. His tone made my blood run cold. What truth? And why did I have the terrible feeling that I was walking straight into a trap? If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 4. Sunset painted the sky in shades of blood and fire. I stood at the edge of the Darkwood, 10,000 acres of untamed wilderness, where even seasoned warriors feared to tread. This was where the final challenge would take place. The mating hunt. Elder Mordecai's voice carried across the assembled pack. The third challenge tests the mate bond at its most primal. Alpha Cade will shift to his wolf form and enter the Darkwood. His human consciousness will be subdued, leaving only the wolf's instincts. Both Lunas will track him through the forest. Whoever he claims first, whoever his wolf recognizes as his true mate, wins the trial. My stomach twisted. A wolf operating on pure instinct couldn't lie, couldn't be swayed by politics or duty or guilt. If Cade's wolf claimed Vivian, it would mean the mate bond between us was weaker than I'd believed. That maybe the moon goddess had made a mistake, or maybe 3 years of denial and damage had broken something that couldn't be fixed. You have until moonrise, Mordecai continued. 3 hours. If neither Luna succeeds in that time, both are disqualified, and the marriage to Vivian stands by default. I looked across the clearing to where Cade stood between two elders. They were preparing him for the shift, painting ceremonial symbols on his bare chest. His eyes found mine through the crowd, and I saw fear there. Not for himself, for me. The Darkwood was dangerous. Rogues used it as a hunting ground. There were cliffs and rivers and 100 ways to die. And I'd be out there alone, weakened from the wolfsbane, racing against a woman who wanted me dead. Sarah. Cade mouthed my name. Be careful. I nodded once. Then the elders stepped back, and Cade shifted. His transformation was brutal and beautiful. Bones cracked and reformed, skin sprouting thick black fur. In seconds, a massive wolf stood where the man had been. His eyes glowed gold, wild and unfocused. The human was buried deep now, leaving only the animal. The wolf threw back its head and howled. The sound echoed through my bones, calling to my own wolf, making her whine with longing. Then he bolted into the forest. "Competitors have 30 seconds, Mordecai announced. Then the hunt begins. I closed my eyes and focused inward, feeling for the mate bond. It was there, damaged and frayed, but still connecting us like a thread of silver light. I could follow it. Had to follow it. Beside me, Vivian stretched, her movements graceful and predatory. She caught me watching and smiled. "I hope you're a faster runner than you are a fighter," she said sweetly. "It would be a shame if the rogues got you before I had a chance to watch you fail." Something cold slithered down my spine. "What do you mean, rogues?" Her smile widened. "The dark wood is full of dangers, Sarah. Anything could happen out there. Anything at all." Before I could respond, Mordecai's staff struck the ground. "Begin!" Vivian shifted instantly, a sleek silver wolf that disappeared into the trees. I followed, my own shift rougher, still struggling against the lingering wolfsbane in my system. But my wolf pushed through, desperate to find her mate. The forest swallowed me whole. I ran through darkness broken only by strips of dying sunlight. My paws pounded against earth, my senses stretched wide, following that silver thread of the bond. It pulled me north, toward the heart of the Darkwood, toward danger. I'd been running for maybe 20 minutes when I caught the first scent. Wrong. Not pack. Not even close. Rogues. I slowed, my hackles rising. There, in the shadows between the trees, yellow eyes watching. 6 of them. No. 8. Too many for coincidence. This wasn't random. This was an ambush. They attacked as a unit, coordinated and brutal. I dodged the first lunge, snapped at the second, but there were too many. Teeth sank into my shoulder. Claws raked my side. I fought back with everything I had, but the wolfsbane had left me weak, and they were fresh and vicious. I was going to die here. Then a massive brown wolf crashed into the pack, scattering rogues like bowling pins. Demon. Even in wolf form I recognized him. The unusual amber of his eyes, the white star on his chest. He fought like a demon, all teeth and fury. Between us, we drove the rogues back. One by one, they fell or fled until only bodies remained. I shifted back to human form, my body screaming in protest. Blood ran from dozens of wounds. Demon shifted beside me, breathing hard. "Are you okay?" he asked. "Why are you here?" I managed. "The trial rules." "Screw the trial rules." He grabbed my arm, steadying me as I swayed. "Those rogues were hired to kill you, Sarah. This whole thing is a setup." "What are you talking about?" He glanced around, then pulled me deeper into the trees, away from the bodies. "I've been investigating the Elder Council for months, following money trails, questioning witnesses. Sarah, they're corrupt. Deeply, systemically corrupt." My head spun. "That's not..." "They've been selling pack lands to developers, embezzling from the pack treasury, using their positions to enrich themselves while the rest of the pack struggles." His eyes blazed with anger. And 3 years ago, when Cade came to them about finding his true mate, they saw an opportunity. The world tilted. "What opportunity?" "You're Omega-born. No status, no family, no political value. But you're also beloved by the pack's lower ranks. The warriors. The workers. The people who actually keep this pack running." He stepped closer. "If Cade claimed you as his mate, if you became Luna, you'd have power. Real power. And you'd use it to help those people. to demand transparency and fairness, to threaten everything the elders have built. So they forced Cade to marry Vivian instead. Not just that, Vivian's father promised them kickbacks, a percentage of his territory's profits, access to his trade routes, political favors. The marriage was never about pack unity. It was about money and power. Demon's voice turned bitter, and the elders knew that eventually Cade might try to claim you anyway, so they've been planning ways to eliminate you. The wolfsbane in your water, the hired rogues, even this trial. It's all designed to remove you from the equation. I couldn't breathe. It was too much. You're lying. I have proof. He pulled a small waterproof pouch from his pocket and extracted several folded documents. Bank records showing transfers from Ashford's accounts to the elders, contracts for land sales, even correspondence between Mordecai and Vivian's father discussing how to handle the Omega problem. I took the papers with shaking hands. By the fading light, I scanned them. Numbers, names, dates. It was all there. Undeniable proof of corruption that went back years. Why are you showing me this? I asked slowly. Why not take it to Cade? Demon's expression turned cold. Because Cade is part of the problem. What? My brother is a good man, Sarah. I won't deny that. But he's weak. He let the elders manipulate him into abandoning his true mate. He married a woman he didn't love because it was politically convenient. He's let them control him for years, and he'll keep letting them because he thinks that's what being alpha means. Compromise, sacrifice, playing the long game. Demon's voice turned sharp. But the pack doesn't need a diplomat. It needs a warrior. Someone willing to burn down the corrupt system and rebuild from the ashes. Understanding hit me like ice water. You want to overthrow him. I want to save him. And the pack. He moved closer, and I saw the zealot's fire in his eyes. I've been working with the Silverclaw pack. Yes, the ones everyone thinks are our enemies. Their alpha, Marcus. He's nothing like the elders paint him. He's fair, honest, willing to forge a real alliance based on mutual benefit rather than backroom deals. You've been conspiring with our enemies. I've been conspiring to free us from tyrants. He grabbed my shoulders. Don't you see? The elders have been using the Silverclaw threat to keep the pack in line, to justify their authority. But the real threat has always been internal. We could have peace with Silverclaw. We could have transparency and justice and a pack that serves all its members, not just the powerful, but only if we remove the corruption at its root. By removing your brother. By removing a system that's broken. His grip tightened. Help me, Sarah. You have the people's love. I have the warrior's respect and Silverclaw's backing. Together, we could expose the elders, force Cade to step down, and rebuild the pack the right way. I'll make you my Luna. You'll have all the power and position you deserve, and you'll actually be able to use it to help people. I stared at him. Part of me wanted to believe it was all altruism, but I knew better. What do you get out of this? He smiled. The alpha title, the power to actually change things, and maybe, his thumb brushed my cheekbone, maybe a mate who's worthy of standing beside me. Nausea rolled through me. I'm Cade's mate. A bond he denied for 3 years. A bond so damaged it might never heal. Demon's eyes held mine. I'm offering you a choice, Sarah. Stay loyal to Cade and risk the elders destroying you both, because they will, make no mistake. Or help me tear down their empire and build something better. With me. Before I could answer, before I could even process what he was asking, I felt it, A surge through the mate bond. Alarm. Fury. Cade. I spun around just as he burst through the trees, fully human now, naked and magnificent and absolutely enraged. His eyes locked on me, standing with Daman, surrounded by dead rogues, holding documents that damned the entire council. "What the hell is this?" His voice shook the trees. "Cade, it's not—" I started. But he wasn't looking at me anymore. He was looking at his brother, and the betrayal in his eyes was devastating. "You did this," Cade said quietly. "You orchestrated all of it. The rogues, the conspiracy. You've been working against me from the start." "I've been working to save the pack from your weakness," Demon shot back. "Someone had to. By trying to kill my mate, I saved your mate. I'm the only reason she's still alive." Demon's voice turned cold. "Where were you, brother? Playing by the trial rules while she fought for her life? I broke those rules to save her. What does that say about which of us is worthy of her?" Cade's power exploded outward, pure alpha dominance that drove me to my knees. "You want to challenge me? Then challenge me. But leave her out of your schemes." "I'm not leaving her anywhere. I'm offering her a choice." Demon helped me stand, his hand lingering on my waist. Stay with an alpha who abandoned her, or stand with someone who fights for her. The mate bond inside me was screaming, not in pain, in warning. This was the moment that would define everything. Then I heard them, footsteps crashing through the undergrowth. Voices. The elders, with Vivian leading them, her face triumphant. "There," she shouted. "I told you she was conspiring with Demon." The elders emerged into the clearing. Mordecai's eyes took in the scene. Me standing with Demon, Cade separated from us, the dead rogues, the damning documents still clutched in my hand. "Sarah Winters," Mordecai said, his voice heavy with false regret. "You violated the trial rules. You accepted outside help from a pack member during the sacred hunt." "That's not what happened," I said desperately. "He saved me from an ambush." "An ambush you orchestrated," Vivian interrupted sweetly. "To make yourself look sympathetic, to gain favor. That's insane." "Is it?" Elder Cordelia stepped forward. "We have testimony from Demon's contacts that you've been meeting in secret for weeks, planning to overthrow the rightful Alpha and install Demon in his place." "What?" "No." I looked at Demon, waiting for him to defend me, to tell them the truth. His face was stone, silent, and I understood. This was part of his plan too. Let me take the fall. Let me be exiled, then use my martyrdom to rally support against Cade and the corrupt elders. I was a pawn in a larger game. "The trial rules are absolute," Mordecai pronounced. "By accepting help from Demon Blackthorn, Sarah Winters has forfeited her right to compete. Vivian Ashford is declared the victor by default. The marriage stands." "No." Cade's voice cracked like thunder. "I invoke Alpha's right. I reject the trial's outcome." "You can't," Elder Thomas said. "The rules, I'm the Alpha. I make the rules." Cade moved toward me, but Demon blocked his path. "Stand down, brother," Demon said quietly. "You lost. Accept it." The brothers faced off, power crackling between them. Any second now, they'd tear each other apart. "Stop," I said. My voice came out weak, broken. "Just stop." Everyone turned to look at me. "I accept the ruling," I continued. "I lost. It's over." "Sarah, no," Cade started. "Then the council's judgment stands," Mordecai interrupted. "Sarah Winters is exiled from the Blackthorn Pack. She has until dawn to leave our territory. Any attempt to return will result in execution. The words fell like stones. Final. Absolute. I'd lost everything. Cade tried to reach me again, but the elders moved between us. The trial is concluded, Alpha. You must return to your mate now, your legal mate. Through the chaos, through my shock and grief, I looked at Cade. Really looked at him. Saw the man I'd loved for 3 years. The man who'd chosen duty over me again and again. The man who was still trying to save me, even though it was too late. It's okay, I said softly, knowing he could hear me with his enhanced senses. Let me go. Something shattered in his expression. The mate bond between us trembled, cracks spreading through its foundation. Not broken, not yet, but close, so close. You have until dawn, Mordecai repeated. After that, you're rogue, fair game for any wolf who finds you. They left me there in the clearing with the dead rogues and the dying light. Even Demon walked away, his mission accomplished. I was alone. I sank to my knees in the blood-soaked earth and finally let myself break. 3 years of pain and longing and hope, all for nothing. I'd survived the trial only to lose everything anyway. The moon rose above the trees, full and bright and merciless. The same moon that had supposedly chosen me for Cade. The same moon that had watched me suffer in silence for 3 years. Why? I asked the goddess. Why give me a mate only to tear us apart? The moon offered no answer. It never did. I had until dawn, a few hours to gather my things and leave the only home I'd ever known. To walk away from the pack, from Cade, from everything that had defined me. To become nothing. Or maybe, I looked at the documents still scattered around me, proof of the elders' corruption. Maybe to become something else entirely. If I was going to be exiled anyway, I might as well burn the whole rotten system down on my way out. I gathered the papers and started walking. Not toward the pack house, toward the territory's edge, toward freedom, toward revenge. Behind me I heard a howl, Cade's wolf calling for his mate. The sound was pure anguish, and it nearly broke my resolve. But I kept walking. Dawn was coming, and with it, the end of Sarah Winters, the hidden mate, the loyal warrior, the fool who'd believed in fairy tales. Whatever came next would be different, harder, bloodier, but it would be mine. If you're still listening to this story up to this point, why don't you subscribe to this channel to continue getting impactful daily stories like this? We would be most grateful if you can do that to help boost this video to reach everyone. Thank you. Chapter 5. The cell was small and dark, carved from the same ancient stone as the council chamber. I sat on the thin mattress, my back against the cold wall, and watched the moon through the narrow window. In a few hours, it would be dawn. Then I'd be cast out, made rogue, hunted if I ever returned. I should have been afraid. Instead, I felt numb. The mate bond was still there, stretched thin and screaming. I could feel Cade somewhere in the pack house, his anguish bleeding through the connection. Part of me wanted to reach for him, to comfort him even now. But I'd spent 3 years doing that, putting his pain before my own. Not anymore. Footsteps echoed in the corridor. I didn't bother looking up until I heard the key turn in the lock. Marcus, one of the warriors I'd trained with for years, stood in the doorway. His face was grim. "You've got visitors, lots of them." He stepped aside and they flooded in. Warriors, Omegas, families I'd helped during the Luna trial. At least 20 wolves crowded into the small space, their faces angry and determined. "This is wrong," said Teresa, the widow I'd helped find work. Her eyes blazed with fury. "What they did to you, all of it. The poisoning, the ambush, the trial, none of it was fair." "We want to fight for you," Marcus added. "The warriors are ready. Just say the word." I looked at their faces, saw their loyalty, their rage on my behalf. Something cracked open in my chest. "No," I said quietly. "No fighting. But Sarah, they'll exile you too, or worse." I stood, my legs steadier than they'd been in days. "I won't let you sacrifice yourselves for me." "Then what do we do?" A young Omega named Jamie stepped forward. "Just let them throw you out? Let the council get away with this?" Before I could answer, another figure appeared in the doorway. Daman, holding what looked like a tablet computer, his expression unreadable. "You want to fight back?" he said. "Then fight smart." He held up the device. "I've uploaded everything to the PAC's shared server. Every document showing the council's corruption. Bank records, land deals, bribes from Vivian's father. It's all there now. Every PAC member can see it." The crowd turned to stare at him. "Why would you do that?" I asked slowly. "You wanted to use that information for yourself." "I wanted to save the PAC." His eyes met mine. "I still do, but I realized something tonight. I can't save it by becoming another version of what's broken. The PAC needs truth, not another power grab." He was lying. I could see it in the careful way he held himself, the practiced sincerity in his voice. He was positioning himself as the hero while omitting his own conspiracy with the Silverclaw PAC, his plan to overthrow Cade. But the information he'd released was real, and right now, that mattered more than his motives. "Check your phones," Demon said to the crowd. "See for yourselves what the elders have been hiding." They pulled out devices, screens glowing in the darkness. I watched their faces change as they read, shock giving way to rage, disbelief hardening into determination. "They sold our land," Marcus breathed. "The Western Territory we thought was protected. They sold it to developers." "And pocketed the money," Teresa added, scrolling through documents. "Millions. While we've been struggling with territory shortages, housing problems. They forced Cade to marry Vivian for kickbacks," Jamie said, his voice shaking. "They threatened to exile Sarah if he claimed her. It's all here. All the proof." The anger in that cell was palpable, electric. I could feel it building, ready to explode. "What do we do?" Marcus looked at me like I had answers, like I was their leader. Maybe I was. "Give me your phone," I said. He handed it over without question. I opened the PAC's social network. Every member was connected to it, could see live broadcasts. My thumb hovered over the stream button. This was it, the moment I chose myself. Chose truth over silence. I hit record. "My name is Sarah Winters," I said, looking directly into the camera. "And I'm the Omega-born wolf your alpha was forced to hide for 3 years." Within seconds, the viewer count started climbing. 50, 100, 500. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm not begging for my exile to be reversed. I'm here to tell you the truth about the system that governs us. I kept my voice steady, clear. 3 years ago, Cade Blackthorn and I discovered we were fated mates. He went to the council immediately, wanting to claim me. They refused, not because I was unworthy, though they used those words, but because I was dangerous to them. 1,000 viewers now. the entire pack was watching. I had no status, no family, no political value, but I had something they feared more. I had your trust. I knew your names, your struggles, your hopes. I served this pack not because of rank or title, but because I believed in it. And the elders knew that if I became Luna, I would use that position to demand transparency, to fight for the wolves they've been exploiting. 1,500 viewers. So they forced Cade to hide me, to marry Vivian Ashford in a deal that enriched them while weakening us. They've been selling our land, embezzling our resources, maintaining their power through fear and manipulation. And when I dared to challenge their chosen Luna, they sabotaged the trial, poisoned me, sent rogues to kill me, then declared me the villain when I survived. 2,000. The entire pack online now. But I'm not here to ask you to save me. I'm here to ask you to save yourselves, to demand better leadership, to refuse to accept a system where some wolves are deemed good enough, and others aren't based on birth and bloodlines rather than character and service. I took a deep breath, feeling something shift inside me, something fundamental. And I'm here to say this to Alpha Cade Blackthorn, my fated mate, the man I've loved for 3 years. My voice cracked, but I pushed through. I reject you. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Through the phone, I could hear gasps, shocked voices, but I kept going. I reject a mate who chose power over love, who hid me in shadows rather than fight for me, who served corrupt masters instead of standing for what's right. Tears streamed down my face now, but my voice stayed strong. I reject the bond that says I'm not good enough unless someone with status claims me. I reject the idea that my worth comes from being an alpha's mate rather than from who I am. The mate bond inside me screamed. Through it, I felt Cade's agony, worse than anything physical, a spiritual tearing that made him cry out somewhere in the pack house. The pain hit me too, doubling me over. My wolf howled in anguish, but something else was happening. Something the old stories spoke of, but no one believed anymore. The bond was fracturing, yes, but instead of breaking my wolf, it was changing her. Power flooded through me, not borrowed from a mate, but my own, raw and wild and absolutely mine. My eyes began to glow, I could feel it. Gold, like an alpha's, an omega awakening. It happened maybe once in a generation. When a wolf so thoroughly rejected their predetermined path, embraced their own power so completely, that they evolved beyond their born rank. Omega to alpha through pure force of will. I choose myself, I said into the camera, my voice resonating with new power. I choose freedom. I choose truth. And I ask you, all of you, to do the same. Don't follow leaders who lie. Don't accept laws that diminish you. Don't wait for someone else to save you. I ended the stream. 2,300 viewers. Every single pack member had heard me reject their alpha. The cell was silent. The wolves around me stared with a mixture of awe and fear. Your eyes, Jamie whispered. They're glowing, like an alpha's. What's happening to you? Teresa asked. Evolution, I said simply. I'm becoming what I was always meant to be. Then I felt it. A surge of alpha power, massive and furious, heading straight for us. Cade. He burst into the cell block, naked from an emergency shift, his eyes blazing gold. But he wasn't looking at me. He was looking past me, toward the council chambers above. They're convening an emergency session, he said, his voice rough. Trying to declare your broadcast an act of treason. Trying to have you executed instead of exiled. Let them try, I said. The new power thrumming through me made me fearless. They won't get the chance. Cade's expression was pure determination. I'm done playing by their rules. He turned and stormed toward the stairs. I followed, the crowd of wolves trailing behind us. Through the mate bond, damaged but not yet severed, I felt his rage, his resolve, his absolute commitment to whatever came next. We burst into the council chamber. All 12 elders were there, Vivian standing with her father, looking triumphant. They turned as we entered, shock registering on their faces. "You have no authority here, Alpha," Mordecai said coldly. "We're invoking the ancient laws. This Omega has committed treason against the pack hierarchy. The sentence is death." "Then you'll have to go through me," Cade said quietly. The elders shifted, uncertain. Behind us, more wolves were flooding in. Warriors, families, half the pack cramming into the chamber. All of them had seen my broadcast. All of them knew the truth now. "This is mob rule," Elder Cordelia protested. "We cannot allow—" "You cannot allow?" Cade's laugh was bitter. "You've been stealing from this pack for years, selling our land, lining your pockets while wolves went hungry. You forced me to hide my true mate, threatened her with exile, tried to have her killed." His power exploded outward, driving the elders back. "Your authority is forfeit. All of you. Effective immediately." "You can't simply remove the council," Mordecai blustered. The laws that let you sell pack territory without approval. The laws that let you take bribes. The laws that say an Omega-born wolf isn't worthy of being Luna." Cade's voice carried to every corner of the room. "Those laws are dead. I'm killing them." He turned to face the assembled pack. Vivian Ashford fabricated her pregnancy to secure her position. The marriage was built on lies and will be annulled. The elders have been removed from power. Their crimes will be investigated, and they'll face justice. Real justice, not the corrupt system they've maintained. The pack erupted in chaos. Some cheering, some protesting, everyone talking at once. Then Cade did something I never expected. He reached up and removed the Alpha's sigil from around his neck. A heavy silver medallion passed down through generations of Blackthorn Alphas. "I don't want to lead wolves who follow corrupt laws," he said, his voice cutting through the noise. "I don't want a title that came at the cost of denying my mate. I don't want power that requires sacrificing what's right for what's expedient." He walked toward me, each step deliberate. The crowd parted, silent now, watching. "Sarah." He stopped in front of me, the medallion hanging from his hand. "You were right about everything. I chose my title over you. I hid you because I was afraid of losing my power. I served a corrupt system because I thought I could change it from within." His eyes, those gold eyes I'd loved for 3 years, held mine. I was wrong about all of it. He knelt, the Alpha kneeling before an Omega-born wolf. "I'm stepping down, effective immediately. The pack can choose new leadership, honest leadership that earns its authority instead of inheriting it through bloodlines and backroom deals." He held out the medallion. "You're free, Sarah. Free from exile. Free from me. Free to choose your own path." I stared at him, at the medallion, at the pack watching us with bated breath. This was what I'd wanted, wasn't it? For Cade to choose me, to fight for me, to tear down the system that had kept us apart. But he'd done more than that. He'd given up everything. "Why?" I asked. "Why now?" "Because you were right. Power isn't worth anything if it costs you your soul. A title means nothing if it requires you to become someone you despise. He smiled, sad and genuine. You said you wouldn't be with a mate who valued power over love. So I chose love. I chose you. I chose to become someone worthy of you. The words should have healed me, should have made everything right. But the bond was still fractured, still toxic. And the new power inside me, my own alpha power, was wild and uncertain. I don't know if I can trust you, I said honestly. 3 years is a long time to hide someone. A long time to choose wrong. I know. He set the medallion on the ground between us. That's why I'm not asking you to take me back. I'm asking you to choose yourself, whatever that looks like. I looked around the chamber, at the deposed elders, their power stripped, at Vivian, her face pale with shock, at Demon, watching from the shadows with an expression I couldn't read, at the pack members, waiting to see what I'd do, at Cade, still kneeling, offering me freedom. The power inside me surged. I could feel my wolf, no longer Omega, not quite Alpha, something in between and entirely my own, testing its new strength. I could walk away from all of this, take my power and build my own pack somewhere else. Start fresh, unburdened by corrupt laws and painful history. Or I could stay. Stay and fight to rebuild this broken system. Stay and prove that Omega-born wolves could lead. Stay and see if Cade and I could salvage something from the wreckage of our bond. I need time, I said finally. Time to figure out who I am now, what I want, what I'm capable of. Take all the time you need, Cade said, and I need to leave. Just for a while, to clear my head, away from pack politics and mate bonds and all of this. Pain flashed across his face, but he nodded. Where will you go? I don't know yet. I looked at the medallion on the ground, the symbol of alpha power, rejected by the man who'd worn it. But I'll come back, when I'm ready, when I know what I want to fight for. And if you decide you don't want to come back, then I don't. I met his eyes. That's what freedom means, Cade. No obligations. No bonds tying me to a place I don't choose. Just me, making my own decisions. He stood slowly. For a moment, we just looked at each other. Two people who'd loved wrong, who'd hurt each other, who might or might not find their way back together. Then he stepped aside. The pack border is north. You won't be stopped. You won't be hunted. You're free. I walked past him, through the crowd, out of the chamber. Wolves parted for me, some bowing their heads in respect. I felt their eyes on me as I crossed the courtyard, headed for the territory's edge. Dawn was breaking. Pink and gold light spilled across the horizon, painting everything in shades of hope. I reached the border and stopped. Behind me, I heard footsteps, not pursuing, just following. I turned. The entire pack stood there. 300 wolves gathered at the border, waiting, not to stop me, not to force me to stay, just waiting. For my choice. Cade stood at the front, no longer wearing the Alpha's authority, just a man who'd finally learned to let go. What happens now? Marcus called out. I looked at them. These wolves I'd served, protected, loved for years. These broken, flawed, beautiful people who'd been ruled by fear and corruption for so long, they'd forgotten what real leadership looked like. I thought about walking away, about the freedom that waited on the other side of that border, about building something new, untainted by the past. But I also thought about Teresa, who needed someone to fight for widows and Omegas, about Jamie, who deserved to grow up in a pack that valued all its wolves, about Marcus and the warriors who'd stood by me, about the families I'd helped during the Luna trial, about Cade, who'd finally chosen right even though it was too late. Or maybe not too late. Maybe just the beginning of learning how. I had power now. Real power, earned through pain and self-actualization. I could use it for myself, or I could use it for them. The sun crested the horizon, warm on my face. I need 3 months, I said. 3 months away from here to figure out who I am without this pack, without the mate bond, without any of it. When I come back, if I come back, it's on my terms. No more secrets, no more corruption, no more hierarchy based on bloodlines. And if you don't come back, Cade asked quietly, then you'll have to figure it out yourselves. I met his eyes across the distance. But I think I will come back, because this pack is worth fighting for. You're all worth fighting for. I turned away from the border. Turned back toward the pack, toward the rising sun, toward whatever came next. 3 months, I repeated. Then we rebuild. Together. The pack erupted in cheers, some crying, some celebrating, all of them hopeful for the first time in years. Cade didn't cheer. He just stood there watching me, understanding that this wasn't a happy ending. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Not the way the stories promised. But it was real, and honest, and earned. I walked past him, heading not toward the pack house, but toward the training grounds. I had 3 months to become whoever I was meant to be. And when I came back, if I came back, it would be as my own woman. Not somebody's mate. Not somebody's Luna. Not somebody's anything. Just Sarah. And that, finally, was enough. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like, and share this video to continue listening to this type of story daily, and also to appreciate this community too. I would like to hear your wonderful opinion about this story. Please comment below.